It's time for Phoenix Down Radio with your hosts, Klaus Nightbringer, Tristan Nalo, Ser Kimono, and Luna Vox. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 1, the premiere episode of Phoenix Down Radio. My name is Klaus Nightbringer. How's everybody doing tonight? We're lucky to have a full crew today. We have with us on the far end Luna Vox. Luna, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you, Klaus?
Oh, I am real excited about this. Just really pumped right now. Excited because this is our first episode. And we have a lot of people watching us right now. Welcome everybody who's in the stream. Thank you for coming. Also with us we have Tristan Nalo. Tristan, how are you?
Good. I'm excited to be broadcasting here from Yoshi's office.
Oh yes, this event made it fortuitous to be able to come in here and broadcast. It's kind of so meta, right? The fact that we're in a world outside of a world that we play in. Kind of fun. And last but certainly not least, we have Ser Kimono next to me. Ser, how are you?
Not doing bad, all in all.
I don't know about you guys, but my heart's beating about a mile a minute right now. I'm really excited about this.
It's definitely a little bit nerve-wracking. It's going to be pretty fun. I know we've been practicing a lot for this, but at the same time, it's always a little bit scary to just go ahead and actually take that first step, you know?
Oh, exactly. You did have that practice episode, but I don't know who all had a chance to listen to it. But yeah, it was kind of rough because we were really nervous on that one, especially me. A little bit about ourselves. Again, my name is Klaus Nightbringer. I am a huge fan of all Final Fantasy games and most role-playing games in general. As far as MMO experience, I played 11 since the PS2 beta. That kind of dates me, doesn't it? Or basically, I was a red mage for life. That's about all that dates me. Played 1.0 for about 3 months and realized that it was just too bad to play. I just couldn't do it anymore. Didn't hear much about 2.0 until the beta was just about to come out, and I got lucky to get on it, and I've been hooked. I've been here the entire time. Love this game. It's gorgeous, and it's actually a lot easier. Currently, I'm working with an Alex Savage group. We're working Clear A3. And we do stream our raid night every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday when we get going right here at Twitch TV/Phoenix Down Radio. I'm kind of working on my end game gathering, and my crafting is it's getting there, but not as much as some of the other guys here. Vox, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Well, as Klaus said, I'm Luna Vox. I have been playing just about a year or so. I began about patch 2.3. It was right after the Ninja came out. And I actually did not start on Hyperion. I actually started on Cactuar. So, the friend that I was playing with Cactuar in, he didn't end up staying, but luckily, I had another friend that was playing, and he convinced me to come over on Hyperion. Surprise, surprise, this friend is Klaus.
Hi.
But, anyways, I ended up joining their freeing company, Phoenix Down, and I didn't get into the game very fast. Like everyone, it was very slow at the beginning, but then I started noticing small things, small touches, the reflection, the animation. I am a sucker for seeing something that had passion put into it, and this game definitely has that. So,
That's
what did I
very
do from
true.
there? It is. This game is a baby, and it was built with a community.
We got
So I
lucky.
ended up, so I ended up loving the game. I love the community. So I now main a healer, uh, I 190 healer, and I have a secondary as a monk. I'm debating on what to level next. I'm currently doing a Dark Knight because I've never tanked before. I'm not really big on the crafting, but gathering I do love. I actually just got a new set of gathering gear today, thanks to Tristan, who will
That's right.
introduce
She's
himself
giving me
next.
a lot of fish in return.
Yes,
Throw
Tristan likes
those fish at him.
So.
Tristan, why don't you go ahead and
Yeah.
introduce yourself now? Thank you, Vox.
Mm-hmm.
For myself, I played World of Warcraft in the past, very on and off, doing a bunch of endgame stuff. Tried out 1.0 when it came out. Um, wasn't really a big fan. Came back for 2.0, but I didn't play for very long, and so I rejoined back in 2.55. I had been with Phoenix Down, the free company that the four of us are in on Hyperion. Joined it as the servers came up, and they didn't kick me while I was gone for over a year, so that was pretty sweet. I do a lot of endgame crafting and gathering. Today I made my very first 2-star item after breaking one previously, which was quite upsetting. But that's about it. And I hire all the other free company members to gather a bunch of stuff for me.
He wants to call us his minions, but no, we're too big for that.
Hmm.
We don't fit in
Like
his
my slave
pockets.
army.
All right, Sarah, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right, so hello everyone. I'm Sarah Tomono. I also played a lot of Final Fantasy XI, not quite as much as Klaus, but I did start back in 2004. Uh, I think that was about a year after it launched, and I ended up starting for it mostly by saying, "Oh, hey, it's a Final Fantasy game. Hey, it's an MMO. That's a little bit weird, but it's got the Final Fantasy name on it, so I'll give it a try." Which I feel like probably a lot of people have at least started with it because of the Final Fantasy name, just the amount of weight that carries. Uh, I started Final Fantasy 14 in 1.0 back at launch, and I actually stuck with it all the way to the Fall of Dalamud. It was definitely disappointing at some parts, had some rough patches, but once they got Yoshida on, I really felt like, hey, here's a person who kind of gets it, who's communicating with the community, making a sincere effort, and it's giving a really interesting insight into the design process.
But to be fair, Sarah, you are a bit of a masochist. I mean, your favorite things to do are fishing and culinarian.
They are perfectly enjoyable. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let's
I,
just all agree to disagree. So,
but I absolutely fell in love with the rich storyline and the amazing localization from the get-go. I like doing a little bit of everything. I had all my jobs to 50 before 3.0 dropped, and been again working on everything. Not just from a sense of completion, but because it actually is kind of fun to dabble in a bit of everything. Uh, I do focus mostly on gathering and on culinarian. I will talk about cooking for hours if you let me. I will happily fish for a good chunk of the evening without even noticing. But I will also go for pretty much anything that has a bit of lore attached to it.
oh, that sounds like
Uh,
fun, Sarah. Appreciate that. Um, sounds like in
I'm
the
here.
chat somebody's saying that we're having some sound issues, that it's very quiet. Okay, so sounds like it's just you, Sarah. We'll have to I'll try and turn you up just
that's
a
a
little bit.
bit
Or,
strange.
all right, is that
Testing,
better,
testing.
guys? Apologize for that, but we'll want to make sure you can hear us.
Oh, my apologies. Okay, shorter summary. I really like doing a bit of everything. I enjoy crafting and gathering in particular, culinarian as well. I'm kind of mixed between maining bard and maining warrior. I really cannot decide on which one to go for these days.
All right, sounds like you're just gonna have to speak into the microphone a little bit more, Sarah.
I cannot do any more without eating it.
Okay.
That should be a bit better.
All right, let's see how that works. Okay, perfect. They say that's better. All right, so a little bit about our show. We are going to talk about, of course, Final Fantasy XIV, the game that everybody's here to play and love. We're going to try and cover, any news that happens within the community. We'll talk about some in-game things that are happening, a little bit about end-game raids, a little bit about crafting and gathering, that fun stuff, and of course, everybody's favorite end-game, glamour. So let's start with some Final Fantasy news. Last week we had PAX Prime, which didn't have a ton of new Final Fantasy 14 from it, but there was an interesting little panel featuring Koji Fox and Nii Soken. Vox, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? You watched that, didn't you?
I did. Koji and Soken's Wild Ride. So, they mainly talked about a lot of lore and a lot of music and how they coincide together. So, excuse me. They talked about the backstory of Answers and Dragon Song, and we learned that song lyrics that are there are canon and they pertain to things in future patches.
Well, everything that Koji writes is canon, at least according to him, right?
Yeah, cough, cough. Wink, wink, nudge. And I don't know about you guys, but I went back and listened to Answers and Dragon Song, and even though I haven't been playing long, I'm like, oh my god, they're right.
I should go and give them a listen again then.
Yeah, well,
You should. Everyone should.
this is one of those games where, I mean, you can miss something really small the first time you go through it, but then somebody mentions it to you and you go back and you check it out in like a cutscene at the end or something, and it's like, oh my god, how did I miss that the first time? There's so much of that in this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice to see it even in the music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like every single bit, it's so well thought out, and they have just a lot of extra hidden elements in there. It took me a while. I am thoroughly convinced that the Ravana music is about the Dragon Song War.
I've never went back and listened to the Ravana lyrics or read them even, but I'm definitely gonna have to do that now. Another big point: Koji Fox invented the Nathni language.
Which is used in the
Who knew?
Ravana song.
So apparently we all have to learn Nath now.
I'll pass, but thank you.
It's required. No, we all gotta. It's
Sarah,
be
you
the
learn it
warrior
and give
wife,
me a
we have to
TLDR.
I'll think
Sarah's
about
our
it.
lore expert.
Yep. Sarah knows all about lore, so if you have any questions about lore, Sarah's the guy to go to.
And he'll be talking about some lore here coming up further on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But Koji and Soken were talking about as they were creating the music. They had their own nice little name for it. Vox, what did they call it?
Hellsward.
Hellsward. With the big boss being Yoshi P. Like they hope he's not watching. That was pretty silly. But I mean, when you have to create 4 primal songs, over 100 sound effects, 500 voices, and so much more in a matter of just a short weeks, yeah, I can see that their deadline was really tight. But I thought they did an excellent job with what we ended up getting. It's some very memorable. Fits very nicely.
It does. It really does.
And they talked about
And
how.
it's
Go ahead.
just- it's just amazing what they had to put into this. Like 4 primal songs, 100 sound effects, 500 voices, and more in a matter of weeks. That is nuts, and that is dedication, and I respect that for them.
Well, plus the fact that they had to go back and forth. The first time that they were going to do the Ravana song, it ended up being the song that song got pushed to Bismarck, and then that then got pushed to Alexander. So what they started with for Ravana music ended up getting put into Gordius. Now that's pretty crazy that they had to then recreate new music for each of those battles.
It's
It
kind of
really
interesting.
is.
It's a little interesting to think about that style of music being used for Ravana, just given how different, like, the sort of style and aesthetic of each one is.
But no, overall, I thought it was very interesting to see how they were handling putting in all this music into the game, how well it turned out, and how it fit with the story and everything. So thanks, Vox, for going over that and with us.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Some other Final Fantasy related news that did come out of PAX Prime. Initially, they were going to announce the release date for Final Fantasy 15, which has been in development for almost 10 years now. They pushed that official announcement back to March 2016, but they did confirm that we should be getting the game before 2017. So next year, we'll hopefully be getting that finally. Other upcoming events for Square Enix. Sarah, why don't you tell us about some of those things that are coming up?
So There's not a whole lot. We do have Tokyo Game Show coming up, of course. That is such a huge industry event, and so all of the companies that exhibit there always want to have something big and exciting to talk about. That's going to be in about 2 weeks. We're hoping to be able to do some commentary while that's going on about the information that comes out of that.
We're supposed to be
They
getting
have
a live letter that Friday, so hopefully there's going to be a lot of new information, new stuff that we're going to be able to then report on the next night when we have our second episode.
Oh yeah, you know how much that Yoshi P likes to leak out those extra little things, the stuff that he says is going to make marketing go insane. So I'm expecting we're going to get something really exciting that's going to have everyone speculating for months. And then in October, we've got the Hiroshima Live Fate coming up. We also have the opening of the first European data centers, which is going to be kind of exciting. I wonder if that means we're going to see some migration away from existing servers of European players who want to play on servers that are going to be in a data center closer to them.
Well, I think what they're going to do on that is they're actually going to take some of the existing worlds and migrate them over to this center, so that way they don't have to change any of their where they're playing at currently. What it sounds like it's going to be 3 to 5 days of downtime for them to transfer those worlds. So it's going to be kind of an interesting time for everybody who's on one of the affected servers.
Right. And then we do have an upcoming fan festival. Don't really know much about it. Don't even know a date for that, but that's something that we're expecting to learn more about at the Tokyo Game Show. So should know about that very soon.
And I'm guessing that
I hope.
it's probably a little too late to have something yet this year, but they may announce it for next year so we can get hyped for all that. 3-year anniversary, lovely.
It's definitely something. It's a really fun experience. For those of you who have been to, did go to the previous fan festival in Las Vegas, you might remember me as the person at the Odin event with the fishing hat who was yelling a lot.
And we hate you for getting to go. I'm stuck here in Minnesota, so I didn't get to go to that. So for those of you who did get to go, I hate you. Not really, but
No,
all
we
right.
don't hate you. We love you.
Okay, we're just extremely
lucky
jealous.
bastards.
Yes, very jealous.
Lucky bastards.
All right, thanks for that. Some in-game news that happened. Everybody knows we had patch 3.07 drop on us not too long ago. We're gonna
It's not that interesting. I mean, it's already been out for a while, and everything that everyone has wanted to hear about it, they've already heard. I mean, we can give you another quick break. Monks got buffed, Astrologians got buffed, favors got changed, your fishing retainers got buffed, and we got party TP bars. And there was something sad about paladins and machinists or something, but nobody really plays those anyways, do they?
No, Machinists got a small buff, but Paladins, they got no love again. So anybody in a progression static right now in Alex Savage and they're playing Paladin, yeah, they know the feeling. So
Well, Sarah and I both play warriors, so we don't have to worry about anything like that. We just jump into Fellcleave spec and go to town.
Fellcleave, Fellcleave.
Double fell cleave is the most beautiful thing ever.
It's satisfying, and you have to shout in real life every time you do it.
But it makes me sad every time you guys out DPS me though. I'm sitting there with my best rotation trying to keep up with you guys, and you go Fellcleave, Fellcleave, and of course, then you just go nuts, crazy.
And then
Our-
there's Fox in the corner healing, just pressing buttons, not doing crap for DPS.
Oh, it's all right. If it weren't for you, Stair and Tristan would both be dead.
Yeah,
Shut
that's
up.
right.
I've got equilibrium.
Represent.
I've got thrill of battle. I'm fine.
Oh, we'll see
I would
that.
die without her.
Yeah.
See,
Thank
there's
you.
there's some
Thank you.
love. All right. Now, everybody's been talking a lot more about patch 3.1. There hasn't been an official announcement date yet, but people are speculating sometime mid to late October. And we've gotten a few hints from Yoshi. Some things were confirmed, a few things were speculated. But some of the things that we do know about, there will be a main story quest continuation featuring the Saint Endelim Scholastiket. If I butchered that, sorry. It's one of those Eorzean words that nobody in the real world can pronounce, except for maybe Sarah.
Scholasticate.
No, I'm talking about the Endelim.
Like- Oh, yeah, Saint Endelim.
I don't know if it's Endelim or Endalim, whatever, whichever it ends up being.
I would go with Endelim.
Go with that. The addition of Vanu Vanu Beast Tribe daily quests. that mean we're going to be getting the Vanu Vanu dance?
We
And-
better.
More
Oh my
importantly,
gosh.
And if
We're
so,
going to be getting that Sanua mount.
is
Oh.
that going to be better than the Manderville?
I love the Vanu Vanu so much. Like, their language is just so evocative. All the weather-related imagery, it's kind of a pleasure to listen to them talk.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Almost as much as it is to listen to the Moogles, Kupo.
oh God,
Oh my
I
gosh.
still want to kill the
We're all looking
Moogles.
forward to those dailies.
They can stay away.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
I liked Moogles. They're kind of adorable. It helps that I actually did those quests after I'd leveled out of the zone on a second job and I had an airship, so not as much of a problem.
I can see that, but when you're trying to push through to 60 as fast as you can, you doing all the quests, and you want to take all their palms and rip them off their head. We won't go there. Level 50 dungeons will now give XP. Thank God. So we no longer
People
have.
still leveling things.
Well, I don't have everything at 60 yet. Do you?
No, but I've leveled everything I want to level.
Well, now when you do your dungeons for Alexandrite, you'll be able to get an extra bit of XP. Totally win-win, right?
I don't know about
I
that.
never did a relic before. I came in right at the end, so I was playing catch up since I've come back.
Yeah, and not sure that it's going to be quite as necessary to do that. Granted, they're talking that we may get the new relic quest line starting in 3.1, or it may get pushed out to 3.15. We're not sure yet, but I'm assuming that in 2 weeks, Yoshi will give us the lowdown on that at Tokyo Game Show.
Oh, we're all clenching our butts for 3.1 though.
Yeah, everybody wants to see
Come
that.
on, relics.
Everyone's just kind of bored right now. That's the problem.
Yeah, if you're not in a progression static, even if you are in a progression static, let me phrase that, it is you're capping your SO tomes to get your best gear, or you're trying to get your red scripts, or you're just crafting, or you're just pulling your hair out because you're.
Mm-hmm.
Gold Saucer's getting an update. Lords of Verminion. Everybody wants to play the Minion game. They're increasing MGP payouts, new triple triad cards and opponents, and there will be a challenge log entry for the Gold Saucer. Is that going to drop more MGP as well? That could be interesting.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because I still have a long way to go for Fenrir. I don't know about you guys.
I'm not really in it for the mount though. There's nothing I really want from the Gold Saucer.
I'm kind
They'll
of
add
doing it
more
for habit at this
rewards.
point, but
I'm sorry, Sarah, what was that?
I'm kind of just doing it for habit at this point. Like, go in, do my mini cactpot runs. I got my Fungod title a while back, so I'm not quite sure what to be doing. I started on a Chocobo raising one, but that was quite frankly before 3.0 dropped, and I was just looking for something to do.
I'm in the same boat as you. I mean, I started a lot of that, but it got boring and tedious to try and raise your Chocobo for racing. Even the gates, while interesting in theory, they got very boring very fast. So if I happen to be there when Funga is going off, I'll still try and get my title. But I've had very bad luck finding the right spot to stand on that most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not that many people that are doing them anymore. Most people are there. They gather around the triple triad tables, or they're gathered around the mini cactpot, or in about 6 minutes our time when they announce the jumbo cactpot, then they'll be around there to pick up their ticket and get their their less than 100 MGP that they got for last place, and then buy their new
Side
ticket.
note, if anyone in your free company ever does win the best jackpot, that is the single best reason I can think of to actually pick up that free company buff that increases MGP
Well,
payouts.
it's too late at that point.
Have someone announce the number before you turn in your tickets, I guess. I don't know.
That's fair, I suppose.
I'm just trying to find a use for the damn thing.
That's true.
Not much.
For a larger free company, it might be a little difficult, but if you got your own free company, by all means, go right ahead. Otherwise, you might piss off a lot of people in your.
They didn't need cheap teleports.
All right, 24-man raid supposed to be coming. The Void Arc. That should be an interesting time. Probably similar mechanic-wise as everybody's favorite Crystal Tower. 24-man, 3 parties, 1 one piece of loot per week lockout. And it's probably going to be mainly used for glamour. Probably something along the lines of I-190, I-200. Kind of a catch-up phase between, so that people that are kind of more casual have another piece that they can look at for loot put onto their characters.
We'll discover some kind of new and shockingly original Allagan atrocity that we hadn't heard about yet.
I'm actually excited to see what the storyline is going to be like with the Void Ark. Who's in charge of it, what the story behind it is, who's going to be the end boss.
What are those hanging things off the bottom of it?
The big coffin-looking
That's what it
things.
looks like.
Yeah, they look like it,
Mhm.
but are they? And does Kate
What's gonna
Sith have
come
any
out of
part?
them?
Is Kate Sith any part of this?
Well, there's a lot of people on YouTube who have a lot of really good speculation. One of my favorites is Ethis Asher, so shout out to him. I would definitely recommend go and listen to his lore theories on it.
You mean as opposed to Sayre?
Well, I
Eh.
don't know. I haven't heard Sarah talk about this yet. But
That's
Sarah's got
true.
lots of good information about the library.
And he'll
It's
be
something
getting.
that people care too much about. I go for the obscure stuff that no one's heard of. Makes me feel special.
All right. Airship exploration. They're no longer just giant retainer ventures anymore.
To
So-
fuel my materia melding addiction.
Yeah.
My airship is
Tristan
so
has
cute.
a problem.
Or your model building obsession, Sayre?
My airships are so cute. They go off bravely into the unknown. Godspeed, little dudes. Godspeed.
So it sounds
Go,
like
mammoths, go.
we're going to be able to take these airships and actually bring groups of friends in your free company with you and explore uncharted islands. What kinds of things are we going to find there? Are we going to be fighting the Garleans? That's possible, I guess.
That is my new theory. If you look at the other side of the room, there's two of our airships fighting the Garlean ship. And I was like, oh, that means we're going to get a Garlean ship minion. But my new tinfoil hat theory, which I'm infamous for, is that it's going to be the Garleans up there and we're going to be fighting them as the creatures for the resources.
Dun dun dun. It's always the Garleans, isn't it?
Or the Alligans.
Or the Garle Alligans? Is that a thing yet?
Not
They,
yet.
they tried to make it a
Not
thing, didn't
yet.
they?
Well, the Garleans want to be the Alligans, but they don't really get what's going on. Like, they think they get it, they're trying to reproduce their stuff, but it's like, when like your little kid tries to build a functioning machine out of modeling clay and like, oh, that's adorable. It's like that.
It's an attempt, I guess. I suppose you can say that.
Good on you,
But with
kid.
murdery machines.
But if you're not a part of a free company, your free company doesn't have airships, fret not. You will be able to join in by going to the Ishgard airships landing, and you'll be able to rent an airship to get to these islands then, and you'll join another party in progress. Not sure if it's going to be a limited zone, like there's only going to allow like 24 people in at a time, or is it going to be a fully open zone that anybody can explore? I guess we'll have to wait and see what Yoshi P tells us about it, or wait until it drops. Housing items, housing changes. Private house owners will be able to give up to 5 people decorating and gardening privileges. That's kind of interesting. You can share your house with a free company or a friend, and have them, use your garden, or you can decorate, or maybe you can charge them rent too. Pay for that darn thing. It was expensive.
Hashtag
I-
Slumlord Tristan.
I am expecting an entirely new and amazing wave of free company drama over this.
Oh boy.
Well,
We're just gonna yell at Klaus until he gives us permission to redecorate his house.
and we're like, no, because I do not trust you.
It's just gonna be Big Brother Eorzea edition, basically.
Klaus, how do you feel about a floor tiled in Starlight Dodos?
I think I'll pass. But thank you very much.
What about
Philistine.
Squonk everywhere?
Ooh.
Please look forward to it.
Yes!
It's a chandelier.
Moving on. Free companies will be able to be renamed if necessary. Lighting levels inside houses will be able to change. And Square Enix is working on a plan to reclaim housing from inactive players and accounts. So if you've been waiting to get your house, you may be able to get something at that point, and then they may end up adding new zones as necessary. So they are working on that. So Vox, you've been saving up for a house. You'll be able to get one soon.
Finally.
I'm actually looking forward to if everyone's moving to Kurthus. I've had my eye on a nice little plot in Gridania for quite some time, and I'm hoping everyone will be like, yes, Kurthus, this is where we want to live. And some of those other places might open up a bit.
We'll have to see
You
what
know
that brings.
I live in Canada and we have snow 6 to 9 months of the year. I'm good. You guys can take care of this.
You'll move to Mist, right? With nice beach front property, girls
Or
waving.
Ul'dah.
Uldah's not bad. That's where my house is. It got a nice spot, right next to the edge. Got a market board right outside. Perfect. Works for me. Of course, there will be new crafting recipes, new specialist things, maybe some gathering gear. We'll have to see what they announce for that. And floating mounts like the Bomb Palanquin and the Armon will be able to fly. So that'll be nice. Extra flying mounts. Be able to actually use some of those beast mounts that we spent so much time getting. Fly with them in the different zones.
About damn time.
Now, I heard that they were talking about the primal ponies possibly being able to fly as well. Now, that would be interesting.
Yes, it would.
If they do that, they need to leave appropriate elemental footprints in the air, a la Death's Horse from Discworld. That just has to be a thing.
Well, there's always an opportunity to add more mounts, so maybe something like that. Now, those are the things that have been basically confirmed by Yoshi or other people at Square Enix. And then there's other speculation. The event where we're sitting at right now, the Rising. We're sitting right in the 18th floor right now. There's been a lot of teasing up here. And I'm going to say, if you haven't done the Rising, I'm sure everybody has by now. But if you haven't, spoilers ahead, and go do it, please. It's awesome. A lot of speculation. They're talking about new jobs coming forward. Red Mage, yes, please.
Blue Mage, yes, please.
Red first, but Samurai,
Samurai, yes, please.
I really have to wonder. They know how much people are speculating, how they're reading every single thing they say. If I were one of the creators, I would totally drop in a few false leads just to see how people react to them.
Well, of course.
People have been talking about that, how much of this is actually a troll from Yoshi and the rest of the development team. But going by what other people have said, this is a very thoughtful event that they've put on for us here. I don't think they're going to use that to be troll. But if they were trolling, that puts that at a whole new level. Bravo.
Maybe one or two pieces, just like tiny little extra thing. But I think probably on the more substantive stuff, they're not going to mess with us that much, I hope.
But we need to get back on track here and talk about the possibility of a new Primal.
And that is?
On track.
Ha 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 ha. That would be interesting. Would we see Doom Train?
That's what people are saying, is there's some mention of a Clockwork Doom Train. Other popular theory is a rematch against Thoradin from the Wandering Minstrel.
Now that would be an interesting fight. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but it was a very easy fight. Now, are they gonna put something in along the terms of Ultima hard mode? Where there's a lot of instant death or near instant death mechanics involved with it. Can you imagine all of the Knights of the Round going at once and actually having it hurt?
That fight was just so goddamn amazing. Just the nostalgia factor alone.
Yeah.
And it lasted about as long as the Knights of the Round summon in Final Fantasy VII, if I recall, too.
Slightly shorter.
Which one was shorter? But no, if we can get a hard mode of that, that's going to be very fun. And then are we going to be seeing more buffs in the future? Paladin didn't get any enhancements. They're still really lagging behind in DPS when it comes to endgame rating right now. Are they going to get any increases to their DPS so they can be relevant again? Bards, I main Bard, so I'm really hoping that they do something there too. We're lagging behind on the DPS train as well. It'd be nice if we were able to get I don't think you can get a fell cleave out of a bow and arrow, but it would be interesting to see.
That just
Hey, that's
sounds
what
like
we
someone
talked
who
about.
hasn't tried enough.
That's what we talked about. And red mages are gonna fire axes out of their bows.
Flaming axes, I remember.
Yeah,
That's right.
because end spell, you got to set that axe on fire and then shoot it.
Because
That's a thing, right?
because that's a thing, exactly. That and now and then getting back into the airship thing, how big are those areas going to be? What kind of rewards are we going to see? I mean, it'd be interesting to see what they announce coming up in 2 weeks at Tokyo Game Show, and then what actually drops when the patch comes live.
It's got to be something that's gonna incentivize people who only want to do combat, and maybe they'll do that by giving them esoterics or something like that. But I think that they're really gonna try and incentivize gatherers to get out there. It's got to have some kind of gathering stuff. I don't know where else they can go with gathering besides that right now.
Yeah, I would like to see some additional content for crafters and gatherers because basically you're just sitting, build your red scripts, and then maybe throw things out to sell, make money, so you save up for that house that still is not available. All right.
Exactly.
Yep. Yep.
All right. So that kind of gives us a little, a little look into what's coming with 3.1. We talked about it a little bit as we were discussing this. The events that we've got going on, we're getting to the end of them. Monday will be the end of Moonfire Fair and the Rising. Moonfire Fair. Fox, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? There wasn't much to say, but
Yeah. The Moonfire Fair. I I was not impressed by it. I don't know about anyone else, but I was not impressed.
buy
I
fish,
mean,
dig up potatoes, cook, done.
pretty. You didn't even. Well, yeah, that's all you had to do. You didn't have to do the fates. You didn't have to do anything really special. I mean, I wanted to be a badass and go get those popotos on my own, make this battered fish from scratch, and
Well, see,
j-
I did that. It was pretty easy. You buy some fish from the vendor, you buy some olive
exactly.
oil from the Sahagin, grab the nearest Lalafell, smother it on the fish.
Boil it,
It
mash it,
was
stick it in a stew.
exactly. It was really easy, and I am really disappointed in that. I mean, coming from playing past MMORPGs like WoW, where things are really interactive, there are numerous events that you could do, races, competitions. This was go get that damn fish and then get your damn items and get the hell out.
Or if you want to, you can kill some pirates that are on the beach. Send them on their way, and you get some
So
pretty
Even
bathing
that.
suits.
there's a couple
Woo.
issues that I see, like two reasons that I can see for it, which don't real like definitely what you're saying. Definitely what you're saying. It's a big issue. This is a less exciting event. I can't argue with that. Part of it is it does have the overlap with the Rising, and I wonder if trying to do like the Rising, they definitely did a lot of work to prepare for it. There's kind of the big fun fourth wall breaking, all of that. I don't know if maybe that took away time from Moonfire Fair. The other one is at least part of the reason that they did it this way, I think, is for practical purposes. For the event, you have a place where you do a lot of level 30-ish fates. You have a lot of people who suddenly have up to 3 jobs that are all level 30-ish now.
Hmm.
I feeling like at least part of it was, hey, here's something where you can work a little bit on the new jobs, try them out, have the holiday to convince you to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's possible that it could be because they want us to help level those new level 30 jobs. That's definitely a possibility. Um, but last year's event was a lot more involved. We were able to do a lot more. We were riding on those mounts and squirting water out at different things. And it was a lot more interactive versus what we get this year. Make fish, turn in item. So
Hmm.
I was slightly
Swamp
disappointed,
Pirates.
but I mean they could have maybe pushed the event ahead a couple of weeks, so they could have maybe put more time into it. But we do have 2 events going simultaneously. We also have the Rising, where we're sitting there right now. Um, very very simple event, but what they did with it, it blew my mind. It was fabulous.
Yeah. I I don't know. I wasn't here for last year, so I don't know what happened last year. But this year, this being my first Moonfire Fair, I was disappointed. I mean,
See,
sure,
I
I
was
get
there
the.
for the first one where we fought the
Mhm.
Bomb King, and that was okay. And this was celebrating defeating him. So, but the Rising was cool.
Oh my gosh, the rising, the feels. Oh my gosh. Like at first, I thought it was gonna be like the Moonfire Fair, like it was just gonna be lackluster. Run here, do this fate, do that. We'll give you a few minions, yada yada yada, and then they go breaking the dang fourth wall.
Absolutely shattered
I
it.
mean, technically it was go here, do this fate, and we'll give you some minions. But the place we ended up was pretty cool.
Definitely.
Yes, it is.
Now,
Yeah.
Square has done this in the past with other games. I think they did it in Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross, one of the two. I'm bad with names.
Both of them had developer rooms. Developer rooms are actually a very long tradition of games. I feel like this is the first time I've seen them.
There, you still there?
I'm still here. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
okay, that's better. Sorry, we lost you for a
Oh,
second.
sorry. I was saying that developer rooms are actually a long tradition. You see them in quite a lot of games. But this is the first time I can think of that I've ever seen one in an MMO.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they
Yeah,
did a
it
very
was.
good job at it.
They did a great job at it, and like they gave us all those hints into what's going to come up. If they're trolling us, I will cry and get my torch and pitchfork out and do something. I don't know exactly what, but I will do it.
All right. Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that because I mean that's going to be an expensive trip to go to Japan just to do that. But at least they have
I
good
will
food.
stow away in a box.
It's a good excuse to go back to Japan for me.
All right, so like I said,
Yeah.
we talked about, they teased Red Mage, Blue Mage, Samurai, Doom Train. Maybe we'd get Knights of the Round Extreme. Um, what I thought was kind of odd was when Koji's character was talking about all those moon references.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know we had the scene with the Warrior of Darkness sitting out on the moon. Are we going to be going to the moon?
Yoshi did mention it as a possibility.
Huh.
That'd be interesting how that works.
Are we astronauts now?
They teased the moon. We're gonna go there sometime. It's an eventuality at this point. They're not gonna show us
Mm-hmm.
the Warrior of Darkness on the moon, and then we never look at it ever again.
Yeah.
Also, it'd be a really great callback to Final Fantasy IV, and they really love their callbacks in this game.
That's very true. So please look forward to it, I guess.
Definitely.
All right, moving on. Now we can talk a little bit about where I'm kind of having my fun in Endgame, and that's Alexander Savage, the Gordius. So far, from what I've been able to get, only 3 have actually gone all the way through A4S. DCM, Gracia, and one other Japanese group. I didn't get their name, unfortunately. But I remember, did you guys see that slide that Yoshi showed during the 14-hour stream of the people who had gone through normal Alex versus Alex Savage?
I
Oh.
did.
Those number differences were really rather striking.
Yeah, 217,000 had gone through A1 normal versus 35,000 A1S.
And wasn't that not just the ones who had cleared it, but just who had even entered it and tried it?
That was it was a mistranslation.
Ah, okay.
It is actually people who have completed.
Okay, I did misunderstand that then.
They announced a few days later that it was that was a mistranslation on their end. So,
All right.
but the one that really struck me was for A3, 105,000 had cleared A3 normal versus 292 A3S. Again, this was this is actually less than that even. But this was from the 14-hour broadcast, which is a while ago. And like I said, nobody had cleared A4 at the time, but now we've gotten 3, so it's now 24. and probably more now, but they just haven't been announced. For those who maybe aren't involved within Alexander Savage static, I'll kind of go through some of the basics on how it's been working for everybody. If you're familiar with Coil, the Binding Coil of Bahamut, Second Coil of Bahamut, you might be somewhat familiar with the way the loot drops. You get 2 treasure coffers once you complete the dungeon, and you've got a chance to get one of a number of different items dropping from one of those chests. For instance, on floor 1, you would get possibility of an accessory. Floor 2, you can get hands or feet or a belt. Floor 3, you can get legs or a headpiece. And floor 4, you get your body piece or a weapon. Now, one thing that they changed versus the way Coil worked, you now also get a token piece that drops. You get a page of of a Gordian book that you can then save up a number of them and turn in for the loot that you want, similar to the token system they're using in Alexander Normal.
Klaus,
yes.
please, it's a manifesto. It is insane gobby ramblings about Gordius. Like, manifesto suggests someone with wild hair who has not seen the sun in about a month, and I feel like that really adds to it.
Do gobbies have hair?
I don't know.
Do we know?
So that we could prove or disprove your theory with that. However, moving on. Yes, it's a page of a Gordian manifesto. Yes. You need a number of them in order to get the item you want. For instance, if you want to get your weapon, you need 8 pages from floor 4. So you need 8 clears, 8 weeks in order to get the item you want if you're not lucky enough to have it drop when you the dungeon. You also would need 8 pages to get the body piece you want. So if you have to choose between one or the other, it would take you 16 full clears in order to get the pieces that you wanted out of Alexander Savage. That's a long time. Leg pieces are 8 as well from floor 3. The head piece is 6, also from floor 3. Hands or feet are each 6. The belt is 4, and an accessory is 4, and each of those drop from their respective floors as well. You also can have a chance at getting an upgrade item for your esoteric piece. When you buy them for however many esoteric pieces, it's an item level 200 piece of gear. You can use this upgrade item to bring it up to eye level 210 and increase its stats, something similar to what the Gordius gear drops from Alexander Savage. Now those pieces are much less expensive. You only need 4 of the different pages from floors 2, 3, or 4 respectively in order to get the proper piece to upgrade your item. For instance, upgrade a belt or accessories, what's called an Illuminati Gob coat that requires 4 page 2s. The Illuminati Gob twine, which is for the rest of your left side armor, like your head, your legs, body piece, feet, that's 4 pages from floor 3. And then to upgrade your weapon from the I-200 to the I-210 is 4 pages from floor 4. So I mean, you want to get the best in slot, for what's best for your class to get the most deep, so to speak. You're still looking at a lot of clears to get those items, but you can also get lucky, and you can possibly get one that drops from each of those floors as well. Questions on that from anybody?
That is a lot of information.
Yes,
Like,
I know it is. I tried to make it the TLDR version of it, but it is slightly convoluted if you haven't done it. But it's in some ways it's nicer because it's similar to the tokens that they're using with Ravana and Bismarck. You don't get your drop, you don't have to farm it until it does come. You can collect 10 of the items to get the weapon you want.
But at the end of the day, we know that this is truly the best gear because you can dye it.
Exactly.
Yep, because
The true
glamours are the
endgame.
real end game. Yes, it has to look
That's
pretty.
right. That's
You keep saying that as if it's a joke.
right. See, something else that gives us a lot of glamour is like crafting and gathering. And nobody really talks about crafting and gathering a
Be-
lot.
because
Do
it's
you
boring,
care if I
Tristan.
go and talk about it? No, it's not. It is far less boring than Alexander Savage Loot Rules.
All right, Tristan, why don't you take us into the deep dark world of crafting and gathering?
Crafting and
Dun
gathering.
dun
I mean,
dun.
sure, Klaus can go ahead and stream his Alexander Savage raid and, get people watching that and they're like, yeah, man, you go, you go. And I can sit there and I can stream my 2-star crafting and you can see me sitting there going, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, asking Sarah to do all my math for me.
Woo, get that
That's
excellent
basically
proc.
how it goes. That's right. It's a group activity when I make him do my math. And
Like,
gathering right now, I mean, it's a bit of a pain because you want to cap your esoterics and your red crafting scripts and your red gathering scripts. The red gathering scripts are a pain because you can only get them once every half hour unless you're Fisher or you have multiple things. Um, you also need 45,000 blue scripts if you want to be able to collect everything yourself.
He's
So
not kidding.
make friends. Make friends. I know this is an MMO, which means play by yourself, but you have to try and make friends.
In this day and age,
And
yes,
yeah.
that's exactly what it means.
and exploit those friends ruthlessly.
That is right. And Vox is right in chat that I actually almost cried when I broke my first 2-star craft because it was hours and days and millions of gil. So gathering, you need it. You need it, or you need to be a rich mofo.
Or have a rich, rich friend.
That's
You
right.
need a sugar daddy. That's what you
You do.
need.
And I have a free company chest full of materia that we all work for, and I make sure that we have enough gear that we can outfit everybody, and then I can make 2-star crafts for anybody who needs it, and I throw gear sets at people in the free company telling them to go gather things because we still need more dark steel and coke.
Yeah, he has a really bad coke problem.
He
There
does.
is no end.
We do.
There is no end to the amount of coke that we need.
One of my favorite airship guides of posted on the official forums. Really well done work, by the way. It has a great section of like questions that we're still trying to answer, research that's being done, such as like how do you unlock new sectors? What effect do the stats have? Where did all of my coke go? They are not kidding. Like
And it's true.
we will easily go through 5 stacks of coke for a single part.
Then where do you hide the dead hookers?
I have been advised not to answer that question.
The free company chest as well.
Tristan!
Sorry.
Our lawyers told us not to tell them. Shh.
Oh, I'm sorry. But
Play dumb.
the gear progression for crafting and gathering is kind of the same, where it's recommended or easiest to start by getting the blue script gear, and then to get the high quality level 60 gear, throw some melds on it, beg your free company to give you all the materia the airships bring back, and then try and get your artifact 2 either through red scripts, or if it's crafting gear, you can also have the crafted crafting gear, which is a lot of work to make.
But if it's melded fully, I believe it's close to, if not superior to, the red script gear. Is that not correct?
It is superior, and it takes, for example, it takes I think 18 red script tokens, so that's 2 full weeks of hardcore crafting to get a chest piece, or you can spend somewhere between 4 to 12 red script tokens and make it yourself.
But there's a lot of other pieces that you need to go with that.
And there's a chance that you'll lose out on all of it.
Be better.
Tristan, we're losing you. Come back, Tristan.
Don't go into the light. Don't go into the light.
Stay
Go
with
into
us,
the light,
Tristan.
It'll be fun.
Might be faster.
Maybe.
So it appears that Tristan's experiencing some technical difficulties. Now, in Canada, they just got the internet last year, I heard.
Leave the Canadians
Of course
alone.
Maybe it was
Oh,
just
Canada's
Tristan.
always such an easy target.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that. But they make a very nice hat to us.
It's
He
true.
just texted me saying very lewd words.
Uh-oh.
So
Oh,
his
oh,
internet is a little iffy right now.
Can you hear me fine?
there he's
Yes.
back.
Yes,
He's
he
back.
came back.
Obviously, the internet was trying to tell me to shut up about gathering and crafting because nobody really cared.
Aw.
So if
Oh,
you guys do want to hear more, I mean, I know that there's not a lot of people talking about endgame gathering and crafting, and Sarah and I love these things, and if you want to hear more, let us know, and we will give you information.
One thing I will note, I'm gonna go ahead and steal from your notes here. They did make that favor change in the last patch. Uh, it seems, best as we could tell, it might be a small nerf in terms of how many favors you could technically gather under optimal blah 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 because of time taken to enter and leave nodes and animations and all of that. But it's mostly something where instead of having to concentrate and gather as hard as you can for 15 minutes, it's something where you only need to be doing it for about 5 minutes. And not having to maintain that level of focus and concentration and stress for a longer period is just really, really nice from a quality of life perspective. So definitely, if if anyone on the dev team or anyone with the ear of the dev team is listening to us, we really like these quality of life changes. We really like the things that make it more fun and less of a job.
But one, we would love you to
telling
add.
us.
I was gonna say one thing we'd love them for them to add though is let us craft from our retainers, please.
Oh, just go sit on the dirty cobblestone and talk to your retainers 8 million times in a row, trying to remember what mats you need to make your item.
But it'd be so much easier just to pull off of them. But I interrupted you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, someone in the chat is saying they wanted to hear a little bit about two-star crafting, so I figured I would touch on it quickly.
All
The
right.
two-star crafting is something that you need items from high-level gathering, which are the legendary nodes that you need 5,000 blue scripts to get half of an item. So you need
4,950.
this is fair, but you need either a friend who wants to get the other half of it, or you need to have 10,000 scripts to be able to gather everything yourself, plus 645 perception for a bare minimum chance to high quality those gathers, which you're going to need if you want to make any high quality gear. And then you need to actually go buy the favors that we were just talking about. And then you spend 25 minutes gathering them and going, what the hell? I have all these things that I'm not sure what to do with. You throw them at the people in Idleshire. They give you materials. You craft those into more materials. And then you craft those into two-star items. And it is a chain of pain.
This is the true Hell's Ward.
Yeah,
That's right.
something can go wrong at almost any stage along that path.
And usually
this is
will.
why- This is why I don't craft. I am terrified of doing that. I'll gather, but usually I'll just ask Tristan, make me this. And then he'll go, no. And then I'll go, please. And then he'll go, no. And then I'll go, I'll get the mats. And he's like, maybe.
And then she'll
So-
throw a fish at him, and then yes.
I do want to note this is still better than. So, most of you didn't play 1.0 that much. There was materia melding in 1.0. If you were doing an overmeld and it failed, it took the item you were trying to meld to with it. People with quad melds were like gods.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
So, I mean, it's definitely, hey, this is an arduous thing, nerve-wracking, a little bit frustrating. I do want to point out it could be worse and has been worse.
Yeah, well, the entirety of crafting and gathering was a lot more RNG related as well. You didn't get to choose the item that you wanted to go after at a node. You had to hit a certain spot, and you had a chance of getting one of a number of items from that location. So the interfaces between 1.0 and 2.0 and now 3.0 are significantly different, and it is much easier, but still a lot of work.
No, definitely.
Well, that's a very interesting look into endgame crafting and gathering. Tristan, I know you can go on for hours and hours more, but we do have some more show to go on with. So we, like I said,
must go on.
show must go on. We will revisit this in coming shows, so we can do a crafting and gathering corner with Sarah and Tristan. If you guys really want to hear that, just tell us at phoenixdownradio@gmail.com, with any comments of things that you want to hear on the show. Now, Sarah's favorite area, lore. One of the things that we're going to be talking about, the dev team and the lore team have been doing a great job of coming up with these little stories every week about Tales from the Dragonsong War. Now, we've gotten some really interesting back looks into the lives of Justinian and Archiphant, and a little bit of what happened between Chris Vulgar, sorry if I totally axed that, and
Close
You've been
enough.
axing everything, don't worry.
that's true. And Lady Iceheart, just before she shows up, in that lovely cutscene in Assis La, this last one that we got was a look at what happened after we left Ul'dah, titled For Coin and Country. Now, Vox, what did you think of that story?
That story, oh my gosh. Like, there are no words. I have so many opinions on this. Sarah, back me up on it. I mean, it could have gone better. I I don't think they were bad. Lolorito, I don't think Nanimo was in the right.
And and just to be clear, we're talking about in terms of how we feel about the characters. My understanding is both of us feel the story itself and the plot that's being developed there. No, this is really good. We like this.
Yes, we like the story, but
I find myself actually kind of liking Lolorito. I see him as someone who's like, no, he's trying to play politics. Like, he's very rightly telling not the Sultana that no, this thing that you were trying to do, like this is this politics is a game that we play. You were going to flip the board, and like telling her she's trying to go in, make this change, this thing to us that sounds so great and idealistic, and no, this is not how you play the game. If you want to make changes, there are ways to do it, and even seeming to show that he's willing to help her or at least give her another chance on it, but warning her that no, being a she's a good person. She may be a good leader. She's not a good sultana because being a sultana, being the leader of Ul'dah, that takes something very special, something that I don't think she has yet.
Well, in her
Yeah.
defense, she took she basically became the Sultana at age 5. Very, very young. She took the oath. She didn't quite understand exactly what she was saying. The ideas that she has and wants are good ideas, but like you said, she was about to totally, flip the board. She was going to put the entirety of Ul'dah in chaos. And while I hate to admit that, what Lolorito was doing, basically saved the country, but, it's still kind of despicable, but he played the game.
More than save the country, imagine if Teleji Adeleji had gotten his hands on the what sleeps below the Cartano Flats. Like, one of the things that Lolorito did was to very efficiently eliminate that conniving little piece of crap.
So that actually was a happy accident. He wasn't necessarily meant to, to be, decapitated by Raubahn, but
Bisected. It was glorious.
true. Well, it's either head and body. That's basically about the halves of a potato.
But I have no doubts that Lolorito would have had long-term plans for Teleji Adeleji.
I'm just glad he's dead. That's it.
Yeah.
I do wish that they had taken this story and put it, in a cutscene for us to see versus just giving us a story, and then maybe spent the time with the story on, another piece of the Dragonsong lore. But, all in all, it's nice that they did give us some explanation as to why things went down the way they did. And it's like I said, like the other stories that we got, I thought it was an interesting, and I do hope we get more.
I hope we do too.
Indeed. No, like I remember when the original Tales of the Calamity came out from the Rising last year. Just spending a lot of time reading them, thinking about it, thinking about all the stuff that tied in with them, and it really helped to flesh out the world. So getting another dose of it, I'm hoping that this is going to be a regular thing for the Rising.
I agree. I hope that we get a lot more of the interesting tales and get a lot more of the behind the scenes lore that we've been. Speaking of lore, one of the segments that we want to do every so often is talk about a dungeon and the lore behind that. Now this week we thought we would start out with the Great Gooble Library. And we're going to let our resident lore expert, Sarah, go ahead and tell us a little bit about that. Now, Sarah, please.
All right. So I'll admit that I actually kind of begged for this one a little bit, in part because in my personal life, I am a librarian. I think that libraries are a really interesting thing. They're like this kind of center of a community in a lot of ways, and the way that the community treats its library can say a lot about the community, how it values knowledge, the exchange of information, new ideas, all sorts of stuff relating to that.
Hashtag how meta.
I am going to save you of any like a half-hour thing from one of my library science classes. So getting to the library itself, it's kind of a throwback to Final Fantasy V, which had its Library of the Ancients. You've got the bookshelves hiding passages. You've got those enemies like Page 64 and Biblos. It's definitely not your typical public library. You do not bring your kids down here for story time. It's a bit more of like an academic library, or maybe just a full-on archive. The Charlayans seemed a bit more interested in collecting all of this information and knowledge than necessarily doing anything with it.
Or using it to share with the rest of their companions.
Yeah, no, it definitely says a lot about their attitudes towards knowledge and the other city-states in Eorzea. So at the moment, the library actually has been cleaned out a fair bit. When the Charlayans did do their big exodus, they took most of the good stuff with them. So all the stuff we're seeing in there, all those little extra books, all the stuff that we imagine must be in there, those elevators all among the stacks, that's their cast-offs. Matoya's thesis was encrypted, so they probably didn't really realize how valuable it was, which honestly more gave me kind of heightens the idea of her being an outsider in Charlayan society. Like Matoya didn't go with them, and her knowledge didn't really go with them either.
That's an interesting viewpoint on that.
Thanks. Like I'm a grad student. I can go on for hours out of almost nothing. It's great.
But do you think that maybe all of this stuff was just infected by the Voidsent that they locked up?
That's also a possibility. You've got all these various monsters throughout there. You've got like the Tome Shifter imps, sentient inkhorns, which I really wonder who thought making an inkhorn into a sentient thing with its own mind was a good idea. So lots of the owl creatures that go ahead and summon more Voidsent. There's definitely a bit of the, hey, we're going to go ahead and just go for knowledge's sake without necessarily thinking about its repercussions.
Or maybe they were just lazy and wanted to do as much research as possible without having to do all the small stuff themselves.
Exactly. I mean, you've got those Paragos in the Charlayan area where a couple of the fates have text suggesting that the Charlayan attitude was pretty much, hey, we need some servants. Let's just make some frogs sentient. You know, they're probably not going to have an existential crisis later on.
Plus, we can have frog legs when we're done with them.
Now that's thinking like a
Charlayan. And that's good eats.
Oh my gosh.
There is more than a little overlap between Charlayan ethics and Allagan ethics, it feels like.
Well, they're both on a pursuit of something what they deem to be higher, so I suppose that's understandable.
Yeah.
It's just which one is right, so.
Right. So actual materials that you have around the place. There's a lot of those books. We have the stuff on Garlean naming conventions, which mostly confirms a lot of stuff we already knew. The middle name seems to indicate rank in the Garlean society. Stuff that begins with a letter further in the alphabet corresponds to higher rank. So like among people who actually have rank, the one, it's like Anne, I believe, was the lowest one. And the emperor is, I believe, Zos. So A to Z. And several of them for which it's not yet known, but you can see most of our progression in there.
So it's not like Eorzean where they just take their head and bash it on a keyboard and that's what they come up with?
There are totally legit naming conventions and patterns there.
In what?
Uh,
In Eorzean or in Garlean?
a bit of both, actually. Uh, I won't get too much into that. There's a couple other things. That book on the elements and the ones that dominate over which is actually one that appeared back in 1.0, so it was kind of neat to see it there again. We've got some references to Merylwib having adventures in the West with a city of gold, which is something that I'm hoping they're going to planting that there in order to develop on it more later. You've got the Demon Tone and Byblos books, which have writing in Eorzean script. There's, again, some amazing threads on the official forums. Anonymous has done a really good job of transcribing them. Koji totally stuck in a little acrostic reading Cthulhu Fatag. So it's like, again, we're getting into the demon summoning, all of this like ancient, just kind of poking fun at the whole thing. Some of the words in those books are in the Dravinian language, so can't really quite read the whole thing. And you also have some really weird spellings. Once again, literacy's not really that common in Eorzea, and educated folks do tend to make up their own spellings for words, so trying to puzzle through the meaning of these is always a little bit difficult.
That is very interesting.
And a couple other quick things. When you're looking at the loot, stuff like Pancratius, which is kind of like the Greek version of an MMA fighter. You've got Preceptor, which comes from the Latin for teacher. You've got lots of terms that come from Greek and Latin, which kind of connects Charlayan to ancient Greek and Roman cultures, this whole culture of learning and philosophy. You can see it in the architecture as well. You also see a lot of weaponry that comes from all over Eorzea's history. You've got blades that come from Belladia. You've got Royal Nimian grimoires. The gun is a pre-Empyrean Garlean firearm. So even before the Garleans became an empire, we can see, hey, they didn't really have that ethereal ability. They were really going for tech.
That is
And
really cool.
one thing that I want to add in to tie together that I noticed, you've got this place, Charlayan, that's collected all this information, had this kind of culture of learning and philosophy, and then became abandoned, fell apart, fell into ruins, and now you have goblins and others coming to this area, kind of reviving that culture, drawing new ideas and information from them. If you do the Idleshire quests, you even see goblins that are experimenting with new forms of government. You've got like libertarianism, bureaucracy, all sorts of stuff like that. So starting with Greek and Roman cultures, having them die out and then be revived, it's kind of like you've got the Renaissance going on in Eorzea.
That's a great point, Sarah, because I mean, even if you go through the Alexander quests, you hear the Illuminati, they're talking about they want to take this knowledge that they've got and they want to spread it across, they want to basically rule the world with it. What they don't realize is what's going to happen when they take Alexander on a cross-Eorzean journey, basically going to draw all of the life force away from the planet. But, you know, they are talking about wanting to take all this stuff that they've learned and basically use it. So it all ties together. That is very interesting and very well put together. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, and
I love Sarah's story time.
I mean, I want to add, they've talked a bit about, the dev team has talked, Yoshi P has talked a bit about the Allegans being kind of like this representation of sort of our society, of becoming this kind of decadent thing. One of the things I really love about the lore and drawing the parallels in it is oftentimes it's what you can say about our lives as well. Like, we make these things because they're a reflection of what we see going on around us. And so it's really fascinating to explore that.
Well, one of the things that they talked about in the Rising event was that the Allegans were a mirror for humanity in the real world.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Thank you again. And like I said, that's going to be something that we're gonna, you know, keep talking about in a new dungeon each time. Sayre's very good at picking up on those little things in the game, so we're glad to have him as a part of our crew. And that basically covers the most of what we're going to talk about here in the premiere episode of Phoenix Down Radio. Tristan, was there something that you wanted to say before we get going?
Yeah, I wanted to say, obviously, first of all, thank you to everyone for tuning in to us today. And it's kind of been funny as we've been looking around at all the different podcasters and looking at the community as a whole. I'm really impressed and appreciative that we have such a strong queer and female presence in the Final Fantasy XIV community. And that's not something that you can say about every game, and especially within the podcaster community as well.
No, when
So
you've got
I'm
so many vocal, people, in a minority group, I mean that's just speaks, a lot about, how passionate they are about this game that we all love.
And I feel
exactly. And
Yep.
I
go
feel
ahead.
like this community has one that, like, again, the devs reached out to us a lot. It feel like one that really just encourages a lot of communication between the devs and community and within the community. This is one where people talk. That's weird for an MMO in a really
Yep.
good way.
But very
It's like I
welcome.
was saying earlier, this community is so strong and so helpful, supportive of one another. This is something special. And I love this game for it. I love everything about it. I love the lore. I love the dev team. I love the community. I love the players. I just love this game. And I am so happy that we have this opportunity to share our love and our appreciation for this game.
Well said. Thank you.
And I also want to thank Klaus for obviously being our main host on this podcast. He has worked so hard over the last couple weeks trying to get everything together, putting all of the equipment and the time and the software in place so we can be here and we can do this for you guys. So thank you, Klaus, and for letting me be a part of this.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'm the one who should be thanking you guys. This was a crazy idea that I had to get this going, and you guys jumped right on it with me. So, I mean, we're a team. So, this was very, very nice. I'm glad you guys were able to join me with this. I'm having a blast doing it. Thank you. Now, before we close out our first episode, I want to take a moment to give a shout out to the Final Fantasy XIV community as a whole as well, and specifically to the other podcasters. Now, we're a brand new show, and it'd be very easy for the more established shows to simply write us off as nobodies or see us as direct competition. However, when I reached out to different shows for advice, everybody I contacted took the time to respond to me, gave us some really great advice. Even had a chance to talk with a few of them via Twitter and other social media, and were even given an opportunity to interact with them some of their live streams, which was a lot of fun. It really goes to show that the Final Fantasy XIV is one of the best gaming communities out there. Now, with all my heart, I want to say a personal thank you to Aniro and Ascalia from Limit Break Radio, and I see Ascalia is here in the stream with us, so thank you very much.
Hi, Ascalia.
I want to thank Kasumi from Whispering Dawn. I saw she was here earlier. I want to thank Nell, also from Whispering Dawn and from Chocobo Dash. And I want to thank Calera and Ceresian from Sequence Break XIV, as well as everybody else here in the stream watching and listening on our podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the reason we're doing it. So that brings us to the end of our first show. What did you guys think? I mean, I had a blast doing it.
No, this was pretty great.
It was great. I loved doing this.
I mean,
There are worse ways to spend my time.
my heart has been just pounding in my chest. I mean, it's been just a rush doing this. It's been a great time. Like I said, it's been so much fun. Thank you again. What did everybody in the stream and everybody listening on a podcast think? What kind of questions, comments do you have for us? What did you like? What didn't you like? What would you like to see in the future? Get a hold of us. You can get us by email, phoenixdownradio@gmail.com. We're available on Facebook at facebook.com/PhoenixDownRadio. The show has a Twitter at PHXDN Radio. We couldn't take full Phoenix Down Radio. It was just too long, so we had to shorten it slightly. As well as we have our Twitch page, twitch.tv/Phoenix Down Radio. We will be doing this show every other Saturday night. So our next show is going to be 2 weeks from tonight. during Tokyo Game Show. So we hope to have a lot of good information to bring you guys about Tokyo Game Show, and hopefully have some things about 3.1 coming down the pipe.
And I think luckily we get to be some of the first people to report on it, don't we?
We'll have to
think we
see.
do.
We'll have to see how that goes.
Depending what they do, I would not be surprised if people were like, "Hey, we got to do a special episode."
So they don't get scooped by the new guys. Is that what you're trying to say?
That's right.
I definitely didn't say that.
Now, we also are available on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com and search for Phoenix Down Radio. Now, we are working on getting approved on different podcast feeds like iTunes and Stitcher, but we will be publishing our podcast via our RSS feed and linking that on our Facebook page. Where do you guys listen to your podcasts? Let us know so we have more ideas on places that we can put our content out so you guys can listen to it whenever you need. Now, the hosts also have Twitter accounts if you want to get a hold of us directly. I can be reached at Klaus_FFXIV. That's Klaus with 2 S's. Vox?
My Twitter is at Luna_Vox. So head on over.
And mine is at Tristan with a Y, N_FFXIV at TRYSTANN_FFXIV.
And my Twitter is not yet suitable for public consumption, so watch this space.
He'll let us know what it is when he's ready to go ahead and share that. Let us know what you want to hear about, new segments you want to have featured on the show, and things that we can do to improve it. Thank you again for coming to the premiere episode. We appreciate you guys showing up. We hope you guys come back, like us, favorite us. If you favorite us, then you're going to see when we go live next. Like I said, we do some other streaming on here as well. So from myself, Klaus, from Tristan, from Vox, and from Sarah, we want to say thank you very much and have a great evening.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of Phoenix Down Radio and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. Opening and closing music tracks of this episode are the copyright of Square Enix. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts, and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.